Hey, what is up, PTX fam? This is Shiblord here, joined by Brand to go over our community AMA here on this beautiful Tuesday, November 11th, 2022, for which we have quite a bit of information to kind of lay out for you guys there. And more importantly, ideally some dates, right? So that's kind of what we're all here for, is the same old questions we've been getting. When NFTs, when PUSD, when vaults, things like that are going to be answered here in this AMA, probably right now, right? So we've had a lot of discussion over the last several of weeks. Been relatively frustrating, but I guess that's okay. Here it all comes around at the end. But we have some actual dates. Now, I do want to preface it with that I do expect these dates to be met. So hopefully they are. I'm not going to give you a time, but I can give you a date. That way, at least we have a little bit of a window of time if we need to kind of sort some things out with the dev team and the last seconds there. But that being said, let's kind of start out the layout of organization here. What are we trying to get live? When are we trying to get it live, right? So we've gone over substantially about how the NFTs are an integral part of the ecosystem, how the vaults are even more an integral part of the ecosystem because of inflationary components, and how PUSD is tied into all of those. So in the order and the precedent of things that are going to go live, we're going to push PUSD live, and we're going to push the vaults live first. We're going to give that a little bit of time, probably just a couple of weeks, and then we're going to get the NFTs live as well. Why are we doing that? It gives PUSD some time to kind of gain some steam behind it. It also gets the vaults in there. We could run some marketing things involving the vaults, of course, to try to get a little bit of momentum around the XShares for when those go live, because the way kind of how it's set up, we have to airdrop a bunch of NFTs to an old project, and obviously that is going to dilute things in the beginning until we can get some minted out. That's just kind of the nature of how money works, right? So that just is how it'll be in the short term, which is okay. So that being said, we expect, and I expect, to be pushing PUSD and the vaults live tomorrow. And that's US time zone. If you are in the Australia region, I think that's still tomorrow for you. It'll be, I think, very, very early in the morning, perhaps, but something like that there. So we expect it to be released on the November 16th, as far as, like US time, UTC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we do expect the vault release tomorrow. We're going to get all those pushed live. I'm not going to give an exact time just yet, but we will let you guys know when they are done. There'll be nothing for you to do initially. You'll be able to then move your assets from the 7 days over to different length vaults if you so choose to. So those are the things that are going to be happening tomorrow, is those vaults will go live. Once those are live, we also are going to be pushing PUSD live. I'll give everyone the contract address, so we have to click an activate button so that it can take trades from there. This PUSD going live is pretty important, right? So we're going to incorporate that with the NFTs by simply sending the BNB that is accumulated via the NFT mints and trading revenue back into an address that then swaps BNB for PUSD, which then pushes it to the NFT holders. So that's very important. Now, cool thing about PUSD is it appreciates over time. It still has that 2% buy, sale, and transfer tax associated with every single transaction with it. Therefore, it is an appreciating asset just in the tokenomic nature, right? Just the 2% buys going right back. It's basically burning that extra 2% in every single transaction. That's how it gains steam over time. Then from there, we expect just a couple of weeks. I don't know if I want to give an exact date. You know what? I'll give an exact date here for when we expect to open up NFT mints. Now, I do want to preface this as well, is once the mints open, I'm going to give them at least 1 to 2 weeks in order for them to start paying rewards. So consider it like a pre-mint. The NFTs will be live, but because they are a revenue share based system, we will be then giving them 1 to 2 weeks to gather those mints and allow them to start working for us. If we were to do it the exact same day, it is very contrary to what the system of a revenue share model is. But I expect the XShares to be launched in the pre-mint phase on November 21st. So that gives us 1 week from yesterday. That'll be when those NFT mints go live. So we'll have the vaults going live tomorrow, PUSD going live tomorrow, and then next week, the mints for the NFTs will start up. Now, again, just in case anyone forgot, you can only mint the common NFTs. The rest of them are not able to be minted until those commons are fully minted out. Obviously, there are legendaries and there are the other Wander NFTs that'll be distributed accordingly. but that is separate from the uncommon and the rare tiers as well. So we're starting to get these things live here. Have some official dates. Again, I'm not going to give a time just yet on that as well, but that's the date that we will get those pushed out live where people can start minting and engaging with the dApp in that sense there. So those are two very, very big developments that we were having coming along 2 to 3 weeks later than I wanted, but who cares? It is what it is. We'll get those working on our end. We also have some pretty big things coming up towards the beginning of December in reference to the swap that we're going to be switching over to, which we haven't formally announced what that is just yet. We'll work with that team to see when maybe we can start working on that as well. So in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to have a variety of very, very big adaptations to the protocol. Again, fundamentals remain the same. Nothing is changing drastically from there. However, that said, we are getting our roadmap out here live to you guys each and every step of the way. It's been a fight, but it is what it is. We got to get these things going and get them working for each and every one of you there. So that's kind of the priority of work in the sense, getting the PUSD live, getting the vaults live tomorrow. We're going to be running some different promotions off of those vaults, likely try to get into some NFT AMAs. It's a little bit tricky out here in the crypto space to market right now, but that's okay. There is opportunities to be had. So we'll make do with whatever we can work with here on our end, of course. So those are kind of the biggest things that I can announce here is tomorrow, vaults. Time, we'll let you know, to be determined. I have a time that they're going to push it live, but just in case, if that is delayed by 30 minutes, you guys will never know. It'll be good there. Then we'll let you guys know when it's going live, when it's actively going live. It's been all thoroughly tested, including the NFTs. We're increasing some of the visual aspect of the dashboard as well to associate with the different vaults to give a better user experience for you guys out there interacting with a different vault, whether it's a 1 week up to the 1 year. You'll have a good user experience for each and every one of those, trying to increase this system over time. I'll even go into a little bit on, as we've kind of talked about, I do want to have PUSD incorporated into the vaults in the long term. I'm targeting February 1st for that. Targeting. That's not set in stone. We need to get some revenue moving. I need to be able to make sure that we can sustain and basically manage a PUSD system from there. So that will not be live when those vaults go live tomorrow. It'll just be the PTX rewards, very similar to how they work right now, just at different rates, right? So we've talked about that pretty extensively. So it's relatively the same there. But ideally, we want to get that system of PUSD incorporated into the vaults at some point in the future. I target February. A lot of things kind of have to go right. That's okay. I'd rather take it slow and steady and safe. So if it's pushed back to mid-February to March, whatever it might be, I'm not going to just push it down the road just for fun. But once we can get those PUSD vaults working, we will get them functional to the people, because that is very, very important. That's genuine passive income where you just enhance your PTX, and whether you want to sell ePTX back to PTX and sell PTX or not, you will then be getting some sort of reward just for having it in the vaults, which is, again, I would look forward to that. I think it works very, very well with how the NFTs work, where it's a genuine, real passive income system and none of this Ponzi economic kind of DeFi mess that we've seen sort of fall out over the last year or so. So I'm pretty excited for all those different developments there. We really look forward to getting those live, and of course, taking your feedback around every single step that we do here, because that is, again, very, very important. We're not building these vaults for us. We're building these vaults for you guys as a community. So your feedback is incredibly important as we're starting to push these different elements live and kind of move us off maybe some of the current structure where it's super high inflationary and very, very difficult to really succeed with in the long term, and try to make it a little bit more stable, a little bit more incentivized for those who want to engage with our protocol. But it also gives us an incredible selling environment for when we are eventually out of this kind of deep, dull market. And then once there's been something that's successful, it's working through a bad market, of course, then it can grow into the future markets. So we look forward to getting all those live here. Again, starting with tomorrow, PUSD and vaults. I'll let you know a time, but that is the date. That is what we've been bashing our heads against the walls trying to get live here. So I genuinely look forward to that coming up. So again, if you guys do have any questions along the way, please simply request to speak live or post away in the AMA Questions Weekly channel. It looks like there's already some of you getting pretty active, so that is good there. Before I bring Ari up, Brand, do you have anything to add? I know your voice isn't too good, so don't feel like you have to.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's just exciting, isn't it? I mean, we look at it from a point of view. Every AMA we've had the last couple of weeks, we're sorry guys, we're sorry guys, we're sorry guys. But now it's finally got to a point where, hey, it's finally coming, guys, and the team have reassured us. So look, we can only sit there and trust them on their word and hope that it's all delivered. I think it will. Shib thinks it will. The rest of the team believes it will. And yeah, we're getting some good progressive upgrades. And what I want to say is a massive shout out to the beta testers. They took the app to an absolutely new level. There was a lot of times, so the way it really worked is we focused purely on technical issues, things that were an actual issue and things that didn't have, things that really did affect user input, right? So once we got that sorted, luckily, a blessing and a curse, we were hit with all these delays. So then we were really able to focus on, guys, right? So we've got this time now. What can we do to just make it better? And we had some insane ideas, just UI features, things that better it, things that will make it a lot more easier for users to use, things that made it a little bit prettier, and just overall improved the app. So a massive shout out to the beta testing team and especially OX Clown for doing a lot of the organization for that as well. We really do appreciate it, and it was really, really nice to actually have a small, set of the community directly affecting how the XShares and the vaults will work. And it was really, really useful as well, especially when finding out what your user base actually wants. So it's definitely something we'll be doing in the future as well.
Yeah, lots of good information there. So I will bring Ari up here first to kind of get them questions rolling whenever he does decide to click the accept button. What's going on, Ari?
Bran, it's been a while. I hope you've enjoyed your vacation of me asking you questions constantly.
How you doing, my man?
Well, it's unfortunate that you're losing your voice because I have questions. But I am also losing my voice, possibly unrelated to asking too many questions.
Ari, you're cutting out just a little bit there.
Alright, so are the legendary NFTs tied to the regular NFT mints?
What do you mean by tied to the regular NFT mints?
Are they coming out at the same time?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, we're going to have those pre-minted as far as we have it designed anyway, right? So a few of those things are what I'll be working through tomorrow. And, well, excuse me, not tomorrow, but as we get closer to the NFTs going live. But the way it's designed here is that we will have them all minted and obviously in team control, obviously receiving no, they're not receiving any PUSD or anything. And then once the other NFTs go live, we immediately airdrop all those wallets who rate them at that time.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the announcement, I am collecting wallets. The only reason why I'm collecting wallets again is because it's been a while since some people have actually won them or, entered a competition for them. So people's wallets may change, and I don't want to get to a point where these get airdropped and people go, hey, I don't have access to that wallet anymore, because we wouldn't be able to just airdrop you another one. They are so limited that we can't just, force mint another one. So please head over to the announcements, check if you are entitled to a legendary NFT, whether you won it, whether you done a buyback event, whether you held pre-sale, a maximum wallet. Get in touch with me via DM so I can cross-reference our list and make sure I've got the right address for you all.
I see. So if I understand correctly, the legendary NFTs that we have won will be pre-minted, and then they will come into existence once the rest of the XShares come in, and then they will start paying out profit shares about 2 weeks from then.
Correct. And obviously we still have that wallet there that has been accumulating BNB via the taxes associated with it. I think there's about 15 BNB in there. So I can supplement a little bit. Maybe I could drop that for the first, on that at that exact 2-week mark. Boom, drop a little bit in there so that it's still actively working. Because I don't want to take too long, you know what I mean? But that being said, if it's a real revenue share model, we can't just be producing this out of nothing. So it has to be coming from something. We have 15.93 BNB in that XShare wallet currently, so that's good news. So it gives us a little bit of a cushion until we start actually generating revenue with it.
That was something that I was about to ask. Oh, sorry, Brent. You go.
No, that's fine. Label's just got a question. Will we select the pre-sale winner on the 21st of November for both the $1,000 buys and the common $50 buys? Yes, I can get a form set up that if you did enter, we can get that sorted out for you. I might need CK's help with getting some forms set up and people filling them out. They were meant to get drawn a lot sooner than obviously now, because XShares was meant to come a lot sooner. But yes, we will get that organized to make sure no one misses out. And we're probably going to do a few more events as well, especially with marketing. One thing I'll say on the marketing side is this is where you guys are extremely important. We've got these XShares release coming out now, so we have a new market we need to tap in. So if you have any suggestions on NFT side of marketing, whether that be AMAs, potential partnerships, anything along them lines, always feel free to either message me, Shib, or pop it in the suggestions. We're always open to hearing your feedback. If you guys want us to work with a specific team or do an AMA with a specific team, we're really open to ideas, especially with the pre-mint. So what we're calling it is a pre-mint, right? Because they're not going to be giving out rewards during that time. The pre-mint is important, right? Because what we don't want to do is from day one go, all right, guys, you're going to earn this much money from day one and shoot ourselves in the foot, right? If it takes a couple of days to earn some money, a week or so, at least we've got that little buffer to make sure we can supplement the NFTs, right? And over time, these NFTs will mint more, which we can add to the pool and build up more from then. I would just like to say, we're in a really, really good position now. So once these, I think the next 3 weeks, so to say, are going to be extremely big in the progression of PTX. We've got the vaults going live. We have the XShares going live. We then have the move to our new decks, which we're really excited about. So we're going to have another fresh chart, fresh marketing, a fresh group of people that we can work with, a fresh ecosystem to build in, which will also lead to further partnerships and working hard with other teams. Now, once again, just on this whole swap side and the people we're going to, we're not just moving to some really crappy pancake swap forked, decks and a completely horrendous team. I would like to really stress that out. The decks that we're launching on is being built by a highly professional team, by a highly professional development team, and by a team that have a proven track record. So we're not just moving our liquidity over to some decks and hoping for the best. This is a very strategic move for PTX, and we wouldn't do something to jeopardize you guys at all. We believe moving to the decks will open for new opportunity, new partnerships, and new possible vaults or staking pools, and ways we can advance the ecosystem. Another thing that Shib spoke about is, of course, that we're not going to be able to provide the PUSD rewards for the vaults straight away. We can't just magically make money poof out of thin air, right? We've done really, really well at money management. I believe we've been able to make sure that the treasury hasn't gone to zero and that the investment assets, and a massive shout out to Shib, that they've all been very stable even during a completely rocky market. So we're going to continue to improve on that. And I think with these next steps, we're now out of that loo and out of that uncomfortable zone where we're waiting for X, Y, and Z. Now we can focus on incentives, progressing XShares, building that vision, that entire roadmap, going the further mile and developing extra products now, and building even on vaults. There's so many things you could do with vaults, XShares, NFTs. So we're really excited to sort of expand now and focus on further things in our roadmap, which is really, really exciting. And obviously over the next couple of weeks, now we've got all these releases. Once XShares do go live, they're in pre-mint. We're going to be launching on a new DEX as well, which is going to be super exciting, and it's going to be sort of another breath of fresh air for the ecosystem, right? We get a new chart, and new decks, a lot of hype on that decks. We get to work with the teams and benefit from that as well. So really exciting stuff coming over the next couple of weeks. Luckily, I mean, it seems like everything's happening for a reason. It's good timing for these vaults, actually. We were actually sitting there as a team saying, hey, we might as well delay them a little bit further now. This was a couple of weeks ago. I was saying we might as well delay them a little bit further so it works in time with this DEX launch. But hey, they did it for us. So the timing of everything seems to be coming out pretty well. So we are really, really excited.
Anything else we can answer
Sorry,
for you, Ari?
yeah, do you have any more questions, Ari? Sorry.
That's a dangerous thing to ask me. You know I have more questions. I just like to let you two do your side, your job, and not interrupt every 5 seconds.
All right, thank you, Harry. It's
All
good.
right.
It's good to see you back as well. It's been a while. I'm glad that you've come back. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, to be fair. So nice to see your face again, my man.
I thought you could use a break from my
Appreciate
weekly,
it. You decide to come
going
back
out
the
to
day
lunch.
I'm going earache. Thank you, Harry.
Well, also the crypto markets have been questionable lately, so I said, I'll focus on real life for a little bit.
That's it. That's a good thing to focus on. All right, and thank you, Ari. If there's anyone else that wants to ask any questions or come up to the stage, please feel free. Oh no, I feel like I accidentally disconnected Ari instead of pushing him off stage. My bad. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them in AMA questions. So we've got a question from Leborg. Now that the uncommon and rare NFTs will be released, when common is fully minted, how will the shares of the NFTs be distributed?
Let me see now the uncommon. Okay, so that's a good question there. We've already worked through that. So basically, we're going to set the uncommon and rare variables to 0% so that it's still a fair valuation for all the tiers that are actively released, right? So if only the commons, the wanderers, and legendaries are available, then we're going to split up the percentages so that it's the same percentage split that we put out there in the medium, but that it's just primarily for those tiers, right? So those uncommons and rares are not going to be getting any revenue set off to the side for them. It's going to be going 100% just to the NFTs that are already actively out there. That's a good question, though. That's one that I actually had to work through with the dev because they're not going to be available right away, right? So that's something we had to take into consideration as well.
But no, it's extremely exciting. I mean, we're finally there. We're finally at the point of getting them out, and I'm super excited, super bullish. Couple of weeks to come, a lot to do, a lot of pushing we're gonna do on our end as well. So hopefully a new lease of life for PTX. And as I said, Paul Dutton, when will X keys and NFT upgrading come into play? So we kind of set that as when the commons mint out, but we are gonna look into that and see what we can do and what will be a good threshold for us to achieve before we release upgrades. There's no point in releasing upgrades if 20 commons have released. Essentially, there's no point. But if we do hit a certain threshold and go, hey, look, it's not realistic, we're going to hit a max minted outright, then once we're comfortable and feel like it's a really good point, then we will release the upgrades. But the good thing about the X keys and upgrades, that's already built. That's already been fully tested, so that's ready to go as soon as we're ready to push it live.
Yep, and just kind of off that same note, we've even delayed a little bit in setting a finite price to the X key and upgrade mechanic because if the price of PTX is vastly different, we will be able to change the price, fluidly anyway. But this way, we can really set it at a fair and reasonable price for whenever they go live, whether that's sooner or later. Of course, we can make that adjustment so that it's the fairest way to do it. So I already have figures in mind. With that being said, we do have to make sure that it's fair once the X keys do come into play. Ari, back again.
I did have more questions.
Okay, what's
Is
up?
there a way to display what the potential profit sharing is for a given time period to investors to see what they could have gained had they had a certain NFT?
Um, I'm not exactly sure what you mean. I guess the best way to do that would be just to say, hey, which one was minted on day one and how much BNB has that or PUSD has that received over time. I guess that would probably be the easiest way, where it's just like, hey, these NFTs have received X amount, but that's very difficult because if there's 10 minted or 100 minted or 99 minted, those are all different numbers, right? So that's very difficult, I think, to put into an easy display.
Fair point. Next question that I had was about PUSD. If PUSD is set up to have this burn fee on buys and on sells, so it just constantly appreciates in value, then is there a catch? Because that just sounds too perfect. Buy something and it always goes up in value? Mm,
Yeah, so I definitely would recommend checking out the Prezi there, where we laid out exactly how the PUSD mechanics work. But very basically speaking, whenever somebody buys it, or sells it, it has an effect on there where it only mints or burns the exact number of tokens it needs to still be 100% BUSD backed. Take that into consideration. So there's only that exact amount of tokens needed, and then consider the 2% buy, sale, and transfer fee. So you're taking that 2% appreciation variable off any single buy, sell, or transfer of that token as another burn mechanism. So it's effectively burning, whenever you were to sell, it's burning that amount of tokens plus 2% of what it actually needed so that it's reducing that supply constantly. And then when you buy it, it's increasing the amount of tokens only to exactly what is needed. And there's also a 2% tax associated with that. It is kind of a little confusing to think about there. That's why we did make the Prezi to try to break down exactly how it works. I think I even put an example in there, if I'm not mistaken. I think in the white paper as well, to try to really get that clear. Because it even to me, that was pretty confusing to begin with. I was like, how the heck does that work? But as you kind of look into the actual numbers associated with it, I put a buy and a sell example out there. It seems to make a little bit more sense as far as that is concerned.
and PUSD comes out tomorrow at some time during the day.
Yes, we will have that launched the exact same time that I push live the vaults. I will just activate the PUSD at the same time, which is one button and 4 signatures of the multi-sig.
Easy. So is there any are our funds automatically entered into a vault if we don't do something, or is it an opt-in process?
So as far as I'm aware of the contract addresses, the 1 week vault is the same exact vault. So that'll stay the same, but the tokenomics will change. So I'll kind of double check with our dev team to see, hey, what happens when we push that to those that are actively in there. I think it's just going to change the future value of the basically the enhanced tokens, right? The stake tokens in that sense. But if you do not do anything with them, as far as I'm aware right now, they will stay in that 1 week vault. They'll just be earning a different rate than they earn today because that 1 week vault is a different APR than it will be once we push that update for the new vaults.
And the reason why I asked is because I might want to use some of my PTX to buy PUSD. And I was curious if the money is going to be locked up for any particular part of time.
No, but if you do want to do that and you've already gone across your 1 week lock period, it might not be a bad idea just to unenhance them, because it is very, very possible that when we push these new vaults that 1 week variable is still going to reset that 1 week time slot. That's very possible. I think just from a logic standpoint. Again, I'll double check on all that once we get on the phone with the dev teams, just so everyone is 100% clear what's going on as well. But it might not be a bad idea if you're already past that early withdrawal fee to maybe just unenhance it and then say, okay, we'll kind of see what happens here tomorrow, and then you can make a decision.
You said early withdrawal fee. If I've taken no action on my, oh, okay, now I get what you mean. Never mind. What I aim to avoid, and I'm sure other investors want to see too, is by doing nothing and having our funds just locked up for months and then be like, okay, well, what if we want to do something with it?
Yeah, so one thing I'd kind of recommend to people, if you did, like, let's say you want to get that highest APR for the tokens, right? So you had some tokens that you want to put in the 12-month. I would advise maybe keeping a little bit in different lengths of vaults there, right? So it gives you some flexibility. If you do wish to use it for, let's say, X keys or whatever might come out there, then you can have, hey, your 1 week or your 1 month, there's no more early withdrawal fee on that. They're all good. But your 12 months still has that early withdrawal fee, so you can start using those other ones from the lower lock terms for different flexibility purposes while still earning the most with that higher lock period as well. Again, 1000% not financial advice, but that would be something I would say would be a logical decision if you did want to have some flexibility with at least some of your tokens, just in case whether you want to sell them, whether you want to go X keys to upgrade, or whatever the case might be in the future.
We've got a question from OX Clown. Thank you, Ari, again for your questions, mate. Shib, Jesus, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. There will be something added to the DApp for swap, right? It will be easier to purchase and sell PUSD.
That is what I've asked for. So we will, once I see that button live, I will confirm that. Unfortunately, I'm just to the point of devs that I'm going to verify and then trust, I guess. So, but that's the idea. Is we would like to have a button within the new DApp that says, hey, you can purchase or sell PUSD very simply, because you can do it by interacting with a contract address like an internal swapper that is in there already. But that's a bit confusing for a lot of people, especially newer people in DeFi. So it's much easier to just it'll have a button that does the same thing behind the scenes basically for you, but it's just more clean for the user. So that's what it should be. I'll just put it that way. Once we confirm it for sure, that will be pushed onto the new DApp.
Does the DApp show you what vaults are available and what one you're in?
Great question. So we did actually push an update that's getting worked on and it'll be finalized tonight. So right now our vaults on our dashboard are not good, right? They take like the totality of enhanced. It's just kind of weird. So we have a new update pushed where it separates each of those vaults from the 1 week to the 12-month, and it'll be your actual numbers. There might be one that shows the totality of it per each tier as well. I think that'll probably still be a thing, but that way it actually is differentiated between the 1 week and the 1 month, the 3 month, the 6 month, and 12-month vaults there. So it's very easy for the user to see what they have in each vault. Very clean and functional. That's what our goal is there.
Paul Dutton, makes sense. Can you go directly from PTX to ePTX directly to PUSD? Okay, so this is one thing we need to clear up with people. When you're in a vault, you won't be able to, at this current time, use ePTX to go directly into other avenues yet. Now, for example, when you're buying X keys and stuff, it will have to be in PTX and it will have to be in all this other stuff. That's the reason why we say to people, don't just lock your entire bag in a set vault. You don't have to just lock it in one thing. You can have some in the 7-week vault, 7-day vault. You can have some in the 1-month vault. You can have some in the 3-month vault. It is completely down to you. So when the things are released, such as burning X keys and upgrading your mints, then you're not locked and saying, "Hey, I'm stuck in a 12-month vault. How do I get out?" So make sure to diversify. We haven't confirmed what the swap app on the app will actually have, Paul. We will confirm that tonight for you. As you know, the last couple of weeks have been a bit hectic in regards to development updates, but they seem to be on the ball now, so we'll get an answer for that shortly. But just to reiterate what Shib said, the current dashboard, there's a vault section on it, right? And it's a bit, no, I don't think anyone's ever actually used it because it's a bit unneeded. However, it's going to be added to the point where you'll be able to see an entire overview of your vaults. how much you got in vaults, yada yada yada. So very easy to look at, very easy to understand, and you shouldn't have any issues understanding what you've got there. Just to let you know, Harry, I've got you noted down now from your DM you just sent me. But yeah, that's just a reminder while we're, getting halfway to this AMA being done. Just to reiterate, if you are owed a legendary X share, to please DM me, so we can get this wrapped up, just so I can cross-reference my previous list and make sure I've got the right wallet down for you. As I said, these legendary X shares, there is only 100 minted. If it's sent to the wrong wallet, we can't just send you another one because there is the limit. We can't just mint an extra one for the sake of it. So if the wallet that you provided me prior isn't active anymore, or you have not got access, you will lose your NFT. So you need to make sure that if you have one, or you are owed a legendary NFT, make sure just to DM me to confirm your wallet, so I can get you jotted down. Will the NFTs have same revenue distribution percentage as announced in the numbers earlier, or have the numbers changed? Also, how are the bots operating in the market? I'll let you take control of that question.
Yeah, so exactly how we have the distribution set up for the NFTs is the same as it was earlier, right? So nothing, let's see, will the NFTs have the same revenue distribution percentages? So before I talk myself into a corner there, like I kind of mentioned a little bit ago, if you're talking about like the initial medium that we put out on it, where it had the percentage that goes to the uncommon and rares, those will not be taken into account because they're not going to be live at the time that the commons go live and the wanderers and legendaries go live. So it'll be proportionally distributed so that they are getting the maximum returns for those that are already minted, and that 0% goes to the NFTs that aren't yet in existence, of course. I know that kind of makes perfect sense, but just to reiterate that. And then still, the distribution of the revenue share model is going to remain the same, which thus far I did have it at 50% goes of the profits generated go to the NFTs, 40% is compounded, 10% to the treasury. I may increase that to 60% to the NFTs, 30% compounded, 10% to the treasury. I'm still kind of up in the air on that there. I want to make these NFTs worthwhile, and I don't want to push myself into a corner or even push the community into a corner a little bit. So we'll kind of play with that over time. And the follow-up question there is how are the bots operating in this market? They've been doing pretty well. I kind of turned off a lot of them over last week because of the chaos in the markets, and then they kind of resumed again this week. So we're up a few percent for the month so far. I think about 5 or 6%. Pretty much what I'm going to be trying to do with the NFTs themselves is to get at least 10% per month. And that doesn't seem like a ton. I think I can do more than that, to be honest, but I'm just trying to make it so, anywhere from 8 to 15% is a good range. And then if we get a good month, great. But I don't want to have a bad month where it goes below those numbers, because it is an actual revenue share stream, right? Because right now with our other investment fund, if I take a 10% loss in a month, it's easy to get back because we have a long-term vision with that. With the NFT funds, you guys need that to be accumulating revenue pretty constantly, right? For it to be at least feeling like it's worth it to you. So we're going to try to make that as fluent as possible. And the cleaner I can get it, the more safe I can get it, but the better returns I can get it are really my goals around every turn there. So it's going to be quite a bit of work on my end, to be perfectly honest, because trade bots don't do well with news changes. They do well with economy changes. So with the economic trends, where it's a long-term trend, trade bots do great. Where it's a news trend, where we saw FTX happen. Fortunately, I had everything off during that time, and I don't think they would have triggered anyway. But if they would have, that would have been a catastrophe, right? Pretty quickly. So what I try to do here is I look at different economic news all day long. I like to study that field and also try to make us risk adverse to the crypto news world as well. Try to keep us on economic trends, whether that's up or down, doesn't really matter to me, to be honest. We go long or short and still get gains. So that's kind of the goal there. Every step of the way is try to bring real returns, limit risk, but we still need to have some risk associated to get those real returns, of course.
And I also want to say, because I know Shib isn't going to big himself up, but in the background, Shib has worked extremely hard on, if the bots have gone negative, to pull this back himself. And I just want to say, like, I just want to make sure that Shib gets that recognition. I know he doesn't want to sit there just asking for a round of applause or a pat on his back, but there's been many, many a times that Shib has popped in the chat at 4, 5 a.m. In the staff chat saying, "Oh, luckily enough, I've stopped that from going negative." So Shib has been working extremely, extremely hard to not only make sure that our treasury hasn't depleted, but also that our investment funds have been staying stable or increasing. So it just goes to show the sheer determination. Shib could have easily sat there, gone, "Oh guys, sorry, the vaults are down a little bit. I mean, the bots are down a little bit. We're down 20% this month." But instead of just letting it ride, he's tried extremely hard to make sure that even if there is a loss, he's pulled it back. So I just want to say on behalf of the team as well, a massive thank you, Shib, for all your hard work in the background that the main people don't see and that the investors don't see, but we do all appreciate it. And yeah, we're really, really excited to get pushed forward now, finally release these products. We're able to move on, get over that barrier that we had, and work extremely hard. I will say on behalf of the team, you know, not that we're gonna give up or anything like that. I don't want people to take it out of context. But it did get to a point where it was a little bit demotivating, right? Now, we're never gonna sit there and give up. But when you have constant setbacks and setbacks and setbacks and setbacks and setbacks, it does, it gets to a point where you kind of get kicked in the teeth. We had a chart referencing point, and we're not here to point fingers at anyone anymore. We're glad that things are moving and that things are, progressing and that we're getting there. However, we managed on the day of release to pump 190%. We had that hype building, we had everything building, and then we had the delay and then the delay again. So it is what it is, but it's onwards and upwards. The team, we're working hard in the background, and we're working hard continuously, and we're going to make sure that this becomes what we, first set out for it to be. So we just want to thank you all for your patience. Hopefully tomorrow, the things go live. Look, we've been promised. We told them, look, we need dates. We've got dates now, and these dates have to be hit. The only reason why we're not giving, we've got times for when they're meant to be released, but a bit out of a little bit of PTSD. I think Shib's a bit hesitant, but hopefully they are, when we're expecting them to be released. And we're more than happy to do some impromptu AMAs, myself included, to jump on stage and help people out if needed, and explain the situation and make sure everything's going smoothly. But just to confirm as well, another thing that people might not be aware of, all of these contracts and all of the vaults are audited by Solid Proof. So nothing has gone unaudited. Everything is audited. Everything is, even down to the NFTs. So everything that's coming out isn't a risky contract. It's not something that's been put together last minute. We've made sure that we followed the correct security steps and made sure that everything, has been correct. That's exactly why we didn't just drop and release certain things, right? We didn't want to put your guys' funds at risk, albeit the price went down a little bit. There's not much we can do, but I'd rather the price go down than people lose money or pay the wrong fees and, go through all that drama. But guys, we thank you all so much. If there's any more questions, feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the chat. And we're more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have. We're extremely excited to get this started. Extremely excited to get over that little hurdle. Now that everything's live, we can just continuously build, add to the existing products, and build new products. And yeah, that's where we start going full steam ahead, and we no longer have any issues of waiting for certain products. So full steam ahead. If you've got any questions, drop them in chat. On Shib, I'll pass it back to you, my man.
Yeah, so like Brand said, might have taken a few years off the back end of my life, but good thing I'm only 30, so I got plenty of them to spare. So no worries on that end. We're going to keep grinding here. As I like to say, I would probably be a lot worse off if I didn't have a lot to do during the day. So I definitely appreciate just how the community has been responding here. I know it's kind of slowed down a little bit, and we've said it before, and I'll say it again, but it does fall on the team here, so I do sincerely apologize for the delays here. But that said, we got to keep going, keep building, keep growing, get these things live, get them pushed, get them moving, and just fight that storm every day, because that's what DeFi is right now. It's a brutal storm, and we're sometimes we're in a kayak and sometimes we're in a yacht, and it doesn't really matter. We got to get through those different waves that we hit, and that just is what it is. So definitely appreciate all of you guys here. As Brand said, if you guys do have any questions here, I know Ari, you're still up on stage. You could feel free to ask away. But if not, we will kind of come to a close here. I'll reiterate stuff at the end. But Ari, do you have anything else while we're up here?
Well, I guess I'm coming away from I'm coming back from having been away from DeFi for a while. But did something particularly happen to Protocol X, that like a delay on it?
Harry, welcome back, my man. I'm so glad you weren't here in the last couple of AMAs because I would have got 2 earaches. I'll explain it a little bit. So everything was going fine. A couple of devs had a couple personal life problems. We were meant to launch the vault towards the end of October, and then the XShares on the 1st of November. Look, we're not gonna go sit there and slag the devs off, whatever. Unfortunately, things happened. We couldn't hit them deadlines, so we set another deadline of the 7th. We couldn't hit that deadline due to slow responses from the devs, not receiving the feedback that we wanted, beta testers' feedback not getting updated in time. Luckily enough, Shib, let's be realistic, Shib finally had a little bit of enough and was like, we need an update. Like, we're getting extremely frustrated. The issue with devs, right, and I'll say this from my point of view, is because they hold all the cards, you have to be very careful on how you approach a situation because it's very easy for them to just say fuck off. Like, it's very easy, especially with development side. They hold all the cards, right? So you're playing against their hand, and they've got 2 aces and you've got 2-7. So you have to be really, really careful about how you play it. Now, I'm not saying that these guys are awful. I want to say a massive shout out to a lot of their team. Some of their team absolutely smashed out of the park. And really, really helped, especially their front end guys and some of the back end guys. So it's not all doom and gloom. Hopefully we can get this product worked out and we can get over this speed bump. But all in all, everything's looking good now. The dates are set, and that's really what this AMA was about. And we've got 34 people here, with the community's coming back. People are back. I mean, the chat died down a little bit, but 34 people, I mean, in the first AMA with a little bit of bullish news, I'll take that. I'll highly take that. And you know what? This is just the beginning. And as we said to you guys, this isn't one of them projects where we're going to give up. You guys have seen the hurdles with the launch date, the pre-sale, the second devs, the third devs. We're not going to give up, and people aren't going to knock us down and stop us from building what we want to build and continuing our dream of making PTX that next level. So a massive thank you guys from the bottom of the heart, from the entire team, and let's look forward to this week to come and the weeks after that, and finally build out what PTX should be.
I don't know. Does that answer your question, Ari? You good there? So-
Yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna lie, the Cocodamo's really kicking in right now, so I'm getting a bit of a bramble going on. So I apologize.
No, just I was coming back, and I remember that we had a while ago we had a pretty nice price run up of where there was all these buyers who are doing all the incentives, and then now it just seems like it's kind of popped down into a bit more of a slump. And I was wondering if something specific happened, or is it just the general market suck?
Well, it was, look, we timed that 1st of November. If you actually, I'm gonna post a screenshot now of the chart, right? If you actually look at this chart properly, I'm gonna pop it in now. We had that good run up, a very, very good run up. And that run up was strategic in the sense of we had the vaults coming and then we had the NFTs coming. So we put on that promotion and we done a lot of marketing, in-house marketing. And that in-house marketing, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was strategic. It was to get buyers, it was to get that thing, but it's obviously what we're gonna do as a team to get you guys excited, to get the external audience excited, and to distribute some of them X shares, right? However, when we were hit with unforeseeable delays, we couldn't just keep giving out X shares on X shares on X shares. And because we didn't have any set dates, we couldn't just keep doing promotions on end with no end goal. Because I could have sat there daily and said, right, next buyer gets this, next buyer gets that. We had a lot of promotions, we went up 180%, but because we didn't have any finite dates and we didn't have any, anything looking forward to in the short term, it was becoming a waste of, potential marketing fuel that we could use in the future. But you know what? We're not too fussed. We've seen how already a 24-hour period of some bullishness can turn the chart from where we are right now to where that chart is. So for one, I'm not bothered. From my point of view, we're going to keep building. We're going to have a new chart anyways when we launch on this new DEX. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Why are we launching on a new DEX again?
It was an opportunity. So you guys know for sure that I am literally the biggest critic of launching on a DEX that isn't like one of the mainstream ones, right? So I am the biggest critic of that. I think that there's usually more negatives than positives. And I don't want to name drop people, but even some people that had a lot of good hype with their DEX when it first came out has dropped significantly in the last 1 to 2 months, very, very quickly from when they launched. And it's hard, right? So we were approached with a proposition, I guess you could say. And it's a team that I know pretty well. It's a team that I know is actually building something that isn't really out there super often, right? So it's a team with credibility, and it's a team that can generate quite a bit of movement around their DEX. So I, kind of took a call with them, with Bran, and even I was pretty skeptic even going into the call, but again, I know the team as well. And then we decided, hey, this is a good path for us because it allows us to work with this team in the future, which I see that as a benefit to our community as well. But it also gives us an outlet to say, hey, if they do succeed pretty well, it puts us in a better position than where we'd be than if we just stayed on PCS. And here's a cool thing. If it starts going the other way, we're not locked to them contractually. We can just remove ourselves from there, go back to PCS, easy day, right? So it's I guess a calculated risk, if you want to say it that, but it's really not a substantial risk, especially considering where we already are as far as the volume and all that good stuff there. It's really only one that I could see benefit us in the short and midterm, and then we'll evaluate it long term, from there. So that's kind of how that discussion came about. It wasn't something I actively sought out, but it was presented and it did make sense. So we'll see if we can get maybe even get an AMA with that team so that those kind of questions can be more direct and then everyone can see what we're talking about a little bit. That might be a good way to clear it up for the community.
So then fundamentally, why are we doing it?
For more exposure, like I just said there, it gives us a better opportunity than if we just stay on PCS for all the reasons that I just explained over like the last 45-second rant.
Sure thing. So if I understand that logic, taking it away from the most mainstream Binance Smart Chain DEX into a new DEX will give us more exposure.
It'll give us different exposure, right? So right now, what is our exposure? Our exposure is to whomever we reach plus our community. What is our exposure if we move to a new DEX? To whomever we reach, our community, their community, whomever gets on their DEX, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because right now, if you go on PCS, how do you find PTX? You have to put in the contract address. It's not like it's a running ad and there's only 20 different tokens available. So we really have to put that information out there anyway. So it's ineffectively a way to reduce even marketing costs to get that name recognition to be seen by more people. So that's kind of the purpose of it there. And like I said, if it changes tides a little bit there, we can always go back to PCS because we're not locked into them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, sir. And we do have another couple of things coming actually. I don't know if I could say that by name, but we should have another partnership with I want to say a token, I'd say a platform, where we'll have our own landing page coming out. But there'll be more on that probably in the next couple of AMAs. But if anyone has any more questions, feel free to drop them. But we are closing in on sort of an hour mark now. But we are, happy to answer any questions if anyone's got them. But yeah, I feel like this is Shib, one of the first times in a long while we've been able to have a nice bullish AMA. I think it's been really, really satisfying rather than having to come into the AMA and have excuses or apologize. It's nice. Luke, a summary of the AMA. Tomorrow, the vaults are coming along with PUSD. On the was it the 21st? Let me double check.
Yes, next Monday.
21st, next Monday. That's when we're going to be doing the pre-mint of XShares. So XShares will go live on the 21st. However, they won't be distributing rewards straight away. I mean, it's pretty much impossible to do that anyways, because then it'd literally be ponzified. So you'll be able to start minting your XShares from the 21st. We're going to have some graphical updates to the DApp. I mean, the DApp looks completely different. If you actually saw the testnet version compared to the current version, completely different. It looks nothing alike what the current DApp looks like. But there is going to be some extra informational updates and graphic updates that we're waiting for tonight. But yeah, vaults tomorrow, time to be confirmed. And then XShares mint on Monday. But yeah, super exciting. I mean, a lot of information and also a summary of, we've got the X that we're listing on soon as well. So finally got them firm dates in play. But yes, my earache is starting to come back, and I think that paracetamol's wearing off now. So Bramble is going to stop.
Yeah, so I think oh, sorry, go ahead, Ari.
Oh, I was saying that I think I also had a couple questions, but I could just take that to a private call.
All right, good deal. So if that's all for now, hey, I just want to say thank you guys all again for joining us. Just to reiterate at the last moment here, Vault's coming live tomorrow. Time to be determined, to be announced. You guys will get the word on that. We'll get some clarification on what happens here 1 week. Vault's from there. Next Monday, November 21st, is when the NFTs will be able to be minted. They'll start accumulating rewards within 1 to 2 weeks from there as well. Lots of big things coming. And of course, just want to say thank you guys again sincerely for joining us on this AMA and this beautiful Tuesday, November 15th. I know we're on a Tuesday, weird. We'll do our next AMA on Friday on Twitter, and then another AMA next Monday on the 21st, same day the NFTs mints go live. So shout out to Brand, shout out to Ari, shout out to everyone who asked questions, shout out to the mod team, shout out to the community, shout out to everyone that has helped us along the way, core team included. So we will catch you guys in the chat. And as always, hit us up if you have any questions along the way, and we will talk to you all soon. Thank you all again.